Hey kids, here we go. So, thanks for coming. You've reached Mr. Krause Math YouTube channel. Little disclaimer, don't cheat. If your paper in front of you is blank, don't watch this video. Pause it, try this problem if you want, then see if you get it right. If you get stuck, then use these videos. It is redunculously stupid to, hope that light's better. It is redunculously stupid to copy what I have written down this paper and turn it in as your own and pretend to feel good about yourself, because come June, whatever date is, I think it's June 15th, you will not do very well on your readings exam. Come on, kids. Stop cheating. Try it on your own. It's the only way you're going to succeed. This test is not that easy. This is June 2010. We're going to do parts 2, 3, and 4 in this video. Glad to have you here with me, even though you're not here with me, but you are here with me. I don't know what I'm saying. Let's get started. What does that mean? Discriminant. If you remember, the discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac. It's that part that's under the radical, but the only thing we want is this. Now, in order for them to have equal roots, you've talked about this discriminant before. B squared minus 4ac. If it's greater than 0, they will be unequal but real roots. Now, if it's a perfect square, they'll be rational. If it's not a perfect square, like 37, 12, 15, then they'll be irrational. Oh, excuse me, irrational. But that's not what I'm looking for. By the way, if it's less than 0 or negative, that means you're taking the square root of a negative. We will have imaginary numbers. But I want equal roots. And when I want equal roots, then it has to equal 0. All right, so we're going to put in k squared. I don't care what you do to k squared. When you do it, it's going to be positive. So k squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4. I still have kids putting in x's for a and x's for... No, it's just the number in front. The number in front here is a. This is b. This is c. Use those numbers. Oh, equals 0. So what I have here is k squared minus 16 equals 0. I'll just simply factor this. Remember, these are part 2s. They shouldn't take too long. K plus 4, k minus 4. So my solutions clearly are k equals negative 4 and k equals 4. Those are my two answers to that problem. And it's over. Next page. Wow. This is going to go fast. Not. All right, so I need to find the population standard deviation. So I need to get these in my calculator, which is right here. Oops, don't like, gotta get rid of old, clear the history out. Go back to the screen, let's get in the spreadsheet. Call this X, and I'll enter these numbers in. All right, so 96, 92, this is really annoying, 84, oops, that's even more annoying, 80. You know what the most common mistake made is not putting your numbers in your calculator accurately enough. By the way, if you want this emulator, there's a video on how to get this TI. This is, by the way, the TI Inspire calculator. That's the only calculator I'll be using. Hopefully you either have one or can use one. If you want to be able to practice at home or use one on your computer, I have a video in YouTube on how to do that. So there's that. I'm going to use my mouse. Come up here. So what we're going to do is I always highlight this box. This is where where I want all my answers to go to. I'm going to do menu, statistics, stat calculations, one variable statistics. I only have one list of numbers, but I have so the wait, cancel. Wait, let's hit escape. What's going on? So I go into menu, statistics. I think I hit the wrong one. Stat calculations. Well, it is only one variable, statistics, but I have two lists. No, this isn't right. Why am I doing this? It's one list. What am I hitting wrong? So X is the list, and the frequency is not. Why am I having a brain cramp? Sorry, kids. I haven't done a problem like this in a long time. Menu, statistics, stat calculations. I did linear regression. Keep hitting the wrong thing. Menu, statistics, stat. Oh, I forgot you just have to hover on this thing. Statistics, stat calculations. Oh, I know why it's having a hard time with it. Frequency. I think that's why I'm having. I didn't name that list, so let's do that. I think that's why I need to name that column. Oh, these calculators are kind of new. They're so cool, though. They're helpful. So we'll do this as X and this as F. So X is the number, F is the frequency list. We hit OK, and then we have our lists. So we want our population standard deviation, and that's sigma. This is a sample standard deviation. This is a population standard deviation. So it's 7.3653. I apologize for that. It's been a while since I used that particular feature. So there's really not a lot of work here. Your population standard deviation is 7.36. I forgot what it was. I don't know if it's going to matter anymore. 53. So on and so forth. This is rounded to the nearest 10, so the answer is 7.4. There it is. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to mess you all up. Sum and product. They've asked this a number of times on the thing, and this is nothing more than a formula. You just have to memorize a couple of formulas. So if you remember, the sum is equal to negative b over a. Yes, that says sum. And then the product is equal to c over a. And you actually have to show work. You need to show your formulas. They're very simple formulas. And I get the product, or the sum here, is negative 11 over 5. And the product is c over a, which is negative 3 over 5. There it is. That's all she wrote. That's done. Memorize those. Oh, I might have to keep this one small like this. Well, this is going to get crazy looking. All right. So the graph of 1/2 to the x has an asymptote. Oh, the graph on the grid below. Sketch the graph of that, and then write the equation. Well, you can do it one of two ways. First of all, if you want to get an idea what this thing looks like, I'm having a hard time moving this down. If you want to get an idea what this thing looks like, you can come over and let's graph. Now, to see all these other graphs in here, you really want to make sure that you start with a clean graph. Just get rid of. Oh, wait. Go home. Actually, just hit the red X. Red X. No, I don't want to save anybody else's garbage, whatever is there, or my old previous garbage. And I want to do this. Now, if I remember correctly, it is 1/2 to the x. So, control division, 1/2 to the x power. And it should be a exponential function coming down. There it is. So there it is. That's what it's going to look like. Now you should graph a few points so that they see that you know what you're talking about. Now if you don't know what those points are, Control T will get you some points. Get some nice points. Let's see. Negative 3,8 will still be on the graph. So if I go negative 3,8 and negative 2,4 and negative 1,2, if you want to pause the video because I'm about to get rid of this, 0, 1, 1.5, 2.25. I already know what these are, so I'm just going to come back over here. And what you might want to do is just draw a little table here for your grader so you know what's going on, x and y. And negative 3 was the smallest, that was 8. Negative 2 was 4. Negative 1 was 2. 0 was 1. 1 was a half. And 2 was a fourth. So if I plot these, probably should tell my grader what my scale is. It's always assumed to be 1 unless you put it, but I'm going to put it anyway. Negative 1, 2, and negative 3, 8. Let's see, 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. And then it's a half, and then it's a quarter, and then I think, and I can't graph on this tablet. It is virtually impossible to try to hit points. So you'll have to make sure. But notice it's getting really, really close to the x-axis, but not touching it. It asks here, if you look right here, it says, write the equation of the asymptote. If you don't do that and you just graph the thing, you just got 1 out of 2 points. Congratulations, you didn't do it. The asymptote is y equals 0. It's this line right here where it's getting closer to, and that line is y equals 0. You have to remember that y equals lines are the horizontal lines. All right, moving on to page 15. Don't know how many pages we got left. We got a lot. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of those pages. Oh, yes, simplifying radicals. I actually love simplifying radicals. It's so easy, but kids hate it. So, 5 square roots. Now, I'm going to rewrite this square root using only perfect squares. Let's see. 3 is not a perfect square, but x cubed has an x squared in it times an x. Now, x squared is a perfect square, so I can get rid of this and make it x. So this becomes 5x square roots of 3x. Now, I'm hoping that my other one has something similar to that as well. I'll do this in black, I guess. Square root, oh, I forgot the 2, of 27. Now, a perfect square that goes into 27 would be 9. 9 times 3. And again, we have an x cubed, so it's going to be x squared times x. Now, I'm going to go through my red pen. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of x squared is x. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to multiply it. So I get minus 6x square roots of 3x. Now, so long as these two things are exactly the same, therefore they are like or similar terms, you can add these up. And 5 of these things minus 6 of these things is negative 1x square roots of 3x. We're almost done, kids. I think we got 7 more problems to go. They're getting harder. This one's not, though. This one's really hard to do if you don't have colored pencils. That's kind of weird that they would ask this on a test. But I'll do it. I'll just do it in a thick green. So, you need to do it in standard position. Standard position means you have the initial side. That's going to be a... Well, here, let's do it this way. The initial side, which will be along the x-axis. I'm trying to make it thick. So, there's my initial side. And 240 degrees. Let's see. To here would be 90. 180. All the way to here will be 270. So I want to go a little bit short of 270. Right about there. That's 240 degrees written in standard position. Then they decide they want you to find the exact value of the sine of 240. Wow. So, you need to know that, hopefully by now, that this has a reference angle of 60 degrees. So what you're really finding is the sine of 60 degrees. And you should know that's the square root of 3 over 2. But since I'm in the third quadrant, it's really negative radical 3 over 2. So the sine of 240 is equal to negative radical 3 over 2. And that's the answer. Now, if you haven't memorized that, but you know it's either the square root of 3 over 2 or 1/2 or the square root of 2 over 2 or it's negative or positive, you can always go over to your calculator. Go into calculator mode. Clear all this crap out. Let's get rid of all this stuff. I don't know what's here. Oops. Get rid of it all. Get rid of it all. Whatever's there. Alright. Let me get rid of it. Make sure there's nothing in there. Oh my god, I can't even clear history. Alright. So whatever. So I want to do the sine of 240 degrees. And it's going to give you some redunculous decimal like that. But notice it's negative, so you know your answer has to be negative. But you think you have the right answer. We have negative radical 3 over 2. Now it said exact. Notice it says exact. If you have an exact right here, I don't know why I just did that. If you have an exact, the word exact in there, and you choose to give this stupid decimal, you will get it wrong. Don't even try it. It's not going to work. So what you have to do is give it the, you need to have memorized those radicals. Now, the cool thing is I can come over here and do control division, and I can do negative square root of 3 over 2 just to see if I even got the right answer. Ah, I do. Negative radical 3 over 2. I do have the right answer. So, moving on. Let's see, is that the only problem on that page? Ooh, I haven't been checking my answers. Alright, moving on. Next page. And get this bigger. Two sides of a parallelogram. Everybody, why does everybody hate to draw a parallelogram? I don't understand why everybody hates to draw a parallelogram. Oops. Alright, so, parallelogram. Side over side. Man. Alright, so two sides of a parallelogram are 24 and 30. The measure of the angle between these sides is 57. And we want to find the area of the parallelogram to the nearest foot. Well, we don't really have an area of a parallelogram formula. We have an area, if you go over here to your formula sheet, right over here, top left, if you're looking over here in the top left, we have an area of a triangle, which is 1/2 AB sine C. AB sine C. And the A and B are always the two sides. By the way, this is 30, I think. And the angle has to be between them. So, we got that. Now, but it's only for a triangle, so it's really only for, I got to make a triangle, this thing. But that would give you the area of this triangle, but there's really two of them. So, we do have an area form of a parallelogram. It's the same as the triangle, but we're going to get rid of and dump the half. It's AB sine C. So, K equals 24 times 30 times the sine of 57. And if I type that in my calculator, because I'm being a little lazy, let me make sure. Let's just do it. 24, 30, 57. So 24 times 30 times the sine of 57. 603.84. So 603.84 rounded to the nearest foot is 604. Ka-ching, done. Next problem. These are absolutely some of my favorite questions ever. And I know you guys are thinking, oh my God, I wish I had this guy as my math teacher because he makes math so much fun. No, I don't. All right, let's look. They give you this entire page. Look at this whole page. They give you, they didn't even require that much work. Oh, wait, can I get to the next page? I can't get to the next page. Damn. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this. 1 over 2. I'm going to show you how I do it. I don't know how your teachers do it. I'm going to show you how I do it, and hopefully this is helpful. If it's not helpful, you can go back the way you were doing it before, but I'm going to do this on every single video, always the same way. And the first thing I'm going to do is try to find the lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator. Sometimes that's tricky, sometimes it's not so tricky. In this case, it should be obvious that it's 2D. Then I'm going to multiply everything by 2D. Because really what you're doing is you're multiplying the numerator by 2d and the denominator by 2d. But I'm not getting into all the math. I'm going to multiply everything by 2d. It is a legal move. You are allowed to do it. And I am going to do it. So, this 2 cancels with this 2, and that leaves me d. Minus this d cancels with this d, 8. That's a much nicer looking numerator. This d cancels with this d, and it leaves me 2. This 2d cancels with this 2d, and it leaves me 3. So my answer is d minus 8 over 5. That's it. It's over. Told you it was an easy question. All right, here we go. Starting to get into the more difficult questions. Here's a real typical real life example. We're on 36. The members of a men's club have a choice of wearing a black or a red vest to their club meetings. A study, they actually studied this over a period of many years. Clearly these people have no life. Showed that black vests are worn I changed to a highlighter. Black vests are worn 60% of the time. There are 10 men at the club at a meeting on a given night. What is the probability to the nearest thousands? Here's the trick. To at least 8 wore a black vest. So, let's talk about a few things. We want at least 8. That's 8, 9, or 10. That would be satisfying these conditions. It's got to be at least 8. 8, 9, or 10. We want to make sure that they're wearing black, and we know that the probability of wearing black is 0.6. So the probability of not wearing black is 0.4. You need both of these. They're both very important. All right, so let's get moving. Here's the formula. We are going to do the probability so we need to do 10, choose 8. Oh yeah, you remember this, don't you? Of 0.6 to the 8, 0.4 to the 2. Remember, these two have to add up to 10. But we also need 10, choose 9. And we're going to do 0.6 to the 9, 0.4 to the 1. And then we're also going to do 10, choose 10, 0.6 to the 10, 0.4 to the 0, which we don't really need. And we got to get their decimal values. You want to show your work. And this one requires me to do some work on the calculator. So let me clear all this crap. I want to make sure I have a nice fresh calculator. And I think that's important that you do that like pretty much every time you do a problem. Just get a fresh calculator. I know you want to go back to your old one. So, probability, menu. We've got to go into probability. And we're going into combinations. And we want to do 10, 8 of 0.6 to the 8th power, and then 0.4, in this case, squared. And we hit enter, 0.12093. I'm going to write that down over here someplace, 0.12093. I hate typing that crap in, so I'm not going to do that again. Hit enter. I'm going to change this to a 1. I'm going to change this to a 9. Be careful. Change this to a 9 and hit enter, and I get 0.04031. 0.04031. Good enough. And finally, do that one last time. Well, might as well just leave this here, but make it a 0. Make this a 10. and make this a 10. Excuse me, 0.00604. So 0.00604. Now, I'm not going to add these numbers up. Those are just my intermediate work. I want to make sure I have the right answer down here at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my calculator, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to add this. Enter. Plus. Now I'm going to go up and get this one. Enter. Plus. And then I'm going to go up and get this one. Enter. And hit enter. And my final answer is 0.16728. 0.16728. I come back up to the nearest thousandths place, and so my final answer is 0.167. All right, kids, 37, 38, and 39 are the last ones. Oh, good. These ones are simple. That last problem is a lot of work. Pain in the neck. All right, here we go. All right, now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you will find out that I go crazy when kids cannot figure out that when you see a double angle, you have to go to your formula sheet. Now, the cool thing about sine is there's only one double angle formula. It's right here. See my hand? 2a is equal to 2 sine a cosine a. You have to replace that. 2 sine a, we're going to use theta, times cosine theta equals sine theta. One of the common mistakes kids make is they try to divide. You are not allowed to divide by a trig function. You lose way too many answers. I will tell you this. If you substitute sine of 2 theta, there is like a 99% chance you are going to be using a GCF. You're going to be looking for a GCF. So what I want to do is I want to set this equal to 0. We're going to bring this sine theta over by setting equal to 0. Now, if you look at these two things, I'm going to highlight them. If you look at these two things, this thing, and let me highlight the other one, and this, what do they have in common? Oh, they both have a sine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out the sine theta. And I'm left with 2 cosine theta minus, you don't get rid of everything. Don't forget there's a 1 right here. Minus 1 equals 0. That's the solving part of the whole thing. Now you just got to get the answers. Well, sine theta equals 0, and 2 cosine theta minus 1 equals 0. Now I refuse to do the work on this. It's just cosine theta equals 1/2, positive 1/2. Well, cosine theta is positive in the first quadrant, and it's also positive in the fourth quadrant. It will give you 2 answers. Now, if you don't know that theta is equal to 60 degrees by now, you probably have some issues, but that's okay. You can always use your calculator and go, okay, inverse cosine of 1/2. I'm putting 0.5 in. Oh, yeah, it's 60 degrees. That's right, I remember. So, almost done. I know that also that my sine of theta has to equal 0. Well, if I look at the sine curve, it's 0 at 0 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. Oftentimes you don't include the 360. Notice in this case, we're not including 360. So I have 4 answers here. 0, ka-ching, 180 for these two. Ka-ching. This one's going to give me 60 because it's positive. And I also need the one in the fourth quadrant. We're going to take 360 and subtract off 60 to find out your last angle is 300 degrees. Degrees, 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 and degrees. Don't be sloppy or silly. All right, moving on. 2 left. Wow, this is a... I saw this question and I'm like, this is a 4-point question. This is a joke. All right. So Tennessee has 9 letters in it. Let's talk about Tennessee. Tennessee. What an annoying thing to write. Okay. It has 4 E's. It has 2 N's, and it has 2 S's. So normally, all the different permutations of those letters would be 11 factorial, but since we have repeaters, we have to divide by those repeaters. 4 factorial times 2 factorial, yes it is times 2 factorial. And we'll go get that value in a second. And then I look at Vermont, and I realize, oh, Vermont has no repeating letters. And since Vermont has no repeating letters, it is simply just 7 factorial. So let's go get these answers. We'll go to our calculator over here, and I'm going to get rid of all my past stuff. And I'm going to do, okay, control division of, I got to go to, oops, I forgot, escape. 11 factorial. I got to put in 11, menu, 5. Oh, you know what? I could do 5 probability factorial. It's there. But I think there's an easier way. I want to do 4 factorial, so I'll do 4, and I think this button right here has factorial. Ah, there it is. 4 factorial times 2 factorial times 2 factorial. 415. Oh, I used 11. Wait a second. Go back. Go back. I apologize, kids. I think I have a brain cramp. Yes, you're learning from a teacher that can't count letters. There are not 11 letters in Tennessee. There are only 9 letters in Tennessee. So correct that. I apologize. There are 9 letters in Tennessee. So let's go back to the calculator. Let's change that 11 to 9. Kind of embarrassing, I'm not going to lie. This is why I would never, ever get 100 on my test. It takes a crazy mind to get 100 on a test, 3780. You just have to pay attention to every single little tiny detail. And then we're going to do 7 factorial. So 7 factorial, enter, and you get 5040. Now, if you ended here, and you're like, oh, look, that's more, and you didn't do anything else, you'd be wrong. Because the thing asked the question, it says the letters can be arranged. Carol believes, like Carol is talking to everybody, that because it's got 9 letters, it's going to have many more permutations than it does if it's just a 7-letter word. Now, that would be true if each one, there were no repeating letters. But since there are, she is wrong. So, Carol is wrong. Vermont yields more arrangements. Something to that arrangements. And you can go in as much as you want, but that's good enough. Carol is wrong, and your justification is the math. Ooh, what do we got? 1 left? Oh my. This is going to be special. Almost finished. Okay, question 39. This is a 6-point question. If you find yourself not doing a lot of work on a 6-point question, you're probably doing it wrong. So, take your time on this. There's a lot of points on this problem, and you want to make sure that you know how to do these. So, any triangle, 2 sides that measure 6 and 10. So, let me get my triangle up. I'm going to label A, B, and C. A, B, C, and we'll go little a, little b, little c. Now, get a different color. It says 2 sides measure 6 and 10. It doesn't matter. Make this 6. We'll make this 10. And the angle, and form an angle that measures 80 degrees. Okay, 80 degrees. Find to the nearest degree the measure of the smallest angle in the triangle. Is that all you got to do on this problem? All right. I don't know what's the smallest angle. So nearest degree, the measure of the smallest angle in the triangle. Well, so I guess the first thing we got to do is find another angle. So we need angle A. Or we need angle B. So, if I try doing law of sines, let's try the law of sines. Now the law of sines we will use only if we have angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side, or angle, side, side. I don't really have either of those cases. What I have is side, angle, side. And since I have side, angle, side, I don't want to use the law of cosines. I really want to use the law of, I don't want to use the law of sines. I really want to use the law of cosines. So what I'm going to do is I want to try to find out what C is. That's my first goal. I want to see if I can figure out what C is. So let's do that. C squared, and since C squared is at the beginning, law of cosine says cosine C has to go here. And then A and B just go in the other direction. So let's go 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10. And I'll get C squared equals, and I'll type that into my calculator. Get rid of all this. 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10. Type it all in at one time. Don't make dumb mistakes. And don't hit sign. It's the law of cosines, for heaven's sakes. Type that in. You get 115.1622. Do not round. Never round. 115.162218. 162218. Yes, I rounded a little bit. So C is just equal to the square root of that. So I'll come back over. By the way, I could just take the square root of the answer. That's true. Or I can remember a simple fact. If I've got this, let me just type in this. And you got that in there. You could also just hit caret to the 1/2 power. That's how I always do it. It's going to be the same thing. 10.73. So C is equal to 10.731366. So I know that little c is the biggest side. Therefore, if I know that this is 10.7, so this is the biggest side, this is the smallest side. That makes A the smallest angle. So now I have to figure out what A is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the law of sines. I'm going to do 6 over the sine of A is equal to this number, 10.731366 over the sine of C, which is 80. We'll cross multiply, so I get 10.731366 times the sine of A is equal to 6 times the sine of 80. Divide by this obnoxious number. Don't round. You cannot round to the very end. You will make dumb mistakes. So I get sine of A is equal to. Now I got to figure out what that is. So go back to my calculator. I'll do control division. Sine of 80. Oops, I forgot to put the number in before that. What was the number before that? 6. 6 times the sine of 80 all over, and then this, I'm just going to put this answer in. Oops, damn. Do that. Should be able to. Oh well, let's just type it in. 10.73136611. That should be enough. Enter, and I get 0.5506. Man, you see how this is a big problem? So I get 0.5506 0614, 0614, and then I'm going to do the inverse sign of that, and I get A equals, we'll do the inverse sign of this, and hit enter, and I get 33.409. 33.409, and they want us to round to the nearest degree. So our final answer is 33 degrees. Yay, we are finished. That is the end of June 2010. We have one exam done. I have like 10 more to go. Each one is so much more fun than the next. Make sure that you're not cheating. If you like what you see and it's helpful, please hit the subscribe button. Again, I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. That's the minimum. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for joining me. Check out the rest of them.